So I was on Facebook and I came across this post, and while I know this to be true and I've known this to be true, what I'm going to show you to be true, I don't know how common this knowledge is. So I want to talk about it, and I want to share some studies and stats and have another level of conversation about this. So here is the post. Remember to check up on your loved ones. The start of football season means a 10% increase in DV cases. Now, let me use I terms. I have known that major sporting events, like showings, whatever, all the sports ball things, men really do get their jock straps in a bunch when it comes to this, and they take it out on their families, women and children. I've known this for a very long time, even if I didn't really have the words for it. But I want to show some stats, some studies and some stats about what this looks like, and continue this conversation. It might be a doozy, so if you feel like this isn't the video for you, more than fine, check out some of my other stuff. But for those of you that want to have this conversation, feel like you can't have this conversation right now, let's do it. Let's do it. So we're going to start off here with a study from the NIH that is titled Family Violence and Football, the Effect of Unexpected Emotional Cues on Violent Behavior. Oh my goodness. Also, hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Shayna. I'm a journalist. I talk a lot about decentering men and child-free living. If any of that sounds like a vibe, please like, share, and subscribe. And also working on putting out more travel content because I recently moved to Spain and it's been a doozy. I swear to God, these mosquitoes. Also, no pressure, but I always appreciate a super thanks. The immigration lawyer fees are, it's a long story, kind of kicking my ass. But I'm getting on top of them. But anyway, literally no pressure. Anyway, let's continue on to this. Put on my reading glasses. I will not be reading the entire abstract or dissertation. Basically, I'm just going to focus on 2.5 paragraphs, starting with this one. Our analysis incorporates family violence data over 750 city and county police agencies in the National Incident-Based Reporting System emerged with information on Sunday NFL games played by 6 teams over a 12-year period. Controlling for the pregame point spread and the size of the local television viewing audience, we find that upset losses by the home team, which means losses that when the team was predicted to win by 4 points or more, led to a roughly 10% increase in the number of police reports at home male on female intimate partner violence. Consistent with reference point behavior, losses when the game was expected to be close have no significant effect on family violence. Upset wins, for example, victories when the home team was expected to lose, have no significant impact on the rate of violence, suggesting an important asymmetry in the reaction to unanticipated losses and gains. Paragraph number 2. The increases in violence after an upset loss are concentrated in a narrow time window around the end of the game, as might be expected if the violence is due to transitory emotional shocks. We also find the upset losses more salient games, those involving a traditional rival or when the team is still in playoff contention, have a bigger effect on the rate of violence. Finally, we test whether the reference point for emotional cues is revised during the first half of the game, but find no evidence of updating. Taken together, our findings suggest that emotional cues based on outcomes of professional football games exert a relatively strong effect on the occurrence of family violence. The estimated impact of an upset loss, for example, is about 1/3 as large as the jump in violence on a major holiday like the 4th of July. Now, I have a number of thoughts on this, but we're just going to start going through this. One, led up to a roughly 10% increase in the number of police reports, and we know that domestic violence is grossly underreported. So yes, on paper, it's 10%, but we know that that number is much higher. I'm just going to read from the handy dandy for this part so I don't miss anything. Men's lack of emotional awareness, regulation, and stabilizing skills kills women, especially the ones closest to them. This entire article is literally focused on men's lack of social maturity, grounding, their lack of handling themselves. and the reactions that that creates just on sports. It's supposed to be a fun time pass. It's supposed to be a pastime, and it is putting people into the next lifetime. And with this, I want to jump down to here. Jump in violence on a major holiday like the 4th of July. Now, as somebody who, my mom was single for most of my life. I lived with my stepdad, like when my mom for like a little bit, but I was also moving to college, literally like what, a year before they got married. And he was fine before he boogaed like they all do. And she kicked him out. It was 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, right? So with that, I don't know. And my stepdad was not a violent person. I cannot imagine what it must be like to fear the holidays, to fear moments that are supposed to be celebratory, that are supposed to be in community, where things are supposed to be loud and joyful and uproarious, but 4th of July, sporting events. And let's say that you even come from a family that likes football, that like you grew up as a, I don't know, Rangers fan. I have no idea what sport the Rangers are associated with. So I would say forgive me, but also you shouldn't expect me to know these things. I know sports ball energy. Anyway, but let's say that you grew up with like really fun memories of these things, really like loving, wholesome experiences of the 4th of July, of Christmas, New Year's, sporting events. And now all of a sudden you have a grossly different experience that is now ingrained into your nervous system. And you just have to deal with that. Whether you stay with the man or leave, your nervous system will not be the same. And in this entire study, it's all focused on on the emotional cues that bring men out of control. And clearly they were never fully in control of themselves, right? But the emotional cues that lead men to do violence, right? Their lack of social and emotional stability, right? This entire article is about that, but also it's weird that the women that are being affected by this, the families that are being affected by this, are given like a secondary character role in this entire document, which does speak to where the focus is. It's giving, oh my gosh, look at all these things that are happening inside the boot. Now, I don't think that they're pacifying the booga behavior, but I do think that it's like, oh, look at all these things that are igniting inside the booga, instead of look at all of the damage that they've done. Look at all the people that they've affected because of their rampage. And let's discuss how that damage continues to show up in families and generations, and what can we do as a society to like stop this from happening. That's not really the focus of this article, and I think that's very telling. And referring to the notes here, the most life-altering decision a woman can make is what man or men she will associate with. Not necessarily marry, not necessarily date, she will associate with. And I will be using a pop culture reference to further this point. Do y'all remember the Tinder swindler? Because I do. It had me on the edge of my seat, titillated. What on earth was gonna happen next? Do you remember this lady? I think her name is Pernilla. She went on one date with this man. Never had a romantic relationship, and she lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because of the man that she associated with. Not even romantically, like the violence that, it was financial violence that he did, financial mayhem, if you will, manipulation to the nth degree. That happened to her and a bunch of other ladies. And I will say that the Tinder swindler was fully in control of the mayhem that he was doing, but the kind of men that you associate with will make or end your life. Not make or break, make or end your life. So please keep that in mind as you're trying to figure out friend groups, family, whatever it is. Stay safe out there, y'all.